Good morning, children. I'm here to take class 10th English Reader. Lesson 4 Nelson Mandela Long Walk to Freedom by written by Nelson Rolihlahla Mandela. Introduction. The extract Nelson Mandela Long Walk to Freedom is taken from the autobiography of this great man. It is a touching account of the horrible atrocities and oppression inflicted by the heartless white rulers on the innocent black natives in South Africa. The regime adopted a policy called apartheid that created one of the harshest systems of racial discrimination in the world. Mandela shares a few of his bitter experiences during his struggle against apartheid, along with the overwhelming emotions he experienced when a democratic era was finally assured in after years of struggle. The summary of the chapter is an extract from Nelson Mandela's autobiography and takes the reader back to 10th May 1994 when Mandela was sworn in as the first black president of democratic South Africa. This historic day was clear and bright with dignitaries from all over the world coming over gradually to felicitate him. The inauguration ceremony of the installation of the South Africans' first democratic non-racial government was to be held in a sandstone amphitheater in Pretoria. This building had been the seat of white supremacy for decades, but on this day it was thronged by people of varied colors and races from different nations. Mandela was accompanied by his daughter Senani, and his swearing in was preceded by that of Mr. De Klerk as the second deputy president and Mr. Thabo Mbeki as the first deputy president. Nelson Mandela pledged to obey the uphold the constitution of his republic. He also sought to devote himself to the well-being of his republic and its people. In his inaugural speech, Extraordinary Human Disaster, he promised to bring up a society of which all humanity would be proud. He expressed a sense of pride over the fact that the blacks, who had been considered as outlaws till then, were host to so many nations of the world. He expressed his gratitude to all the dignitaries for having participated in this common victory for justice, peace, and human dignity. He further added that they had achieved political emancipation and were now taking the pledge to free all their people from the shackle of poverty. Suffering, deprivation, gender, and other types of discrimination. He closed this address with the wish that freedom reigns and Africa be blessed by God. An impressive display of South African jets, helicopters, troops carriers added to the spectrum of the inauguration ceremony. Mandela termed it as an exhibition of military loyalty to the newly formed democratic government. When saluted by the military generals, Mandela pointed out the shift in their attitude. These decorated officers, who had just saluted him as the new president and pledged loyalty to his government, would have arrested him not many years ago. The grand ceremony came to a close with the Impala jets leaving a trail of the bright colors that formed the new South African flag. On that symbolic day, the national anthems were played, the whites sang, Nkosi Sikelel, I Africa, and the blacks die stem. Mandela knew that although the two groups had once despised each other's anthem, they would soon memorize both. Mandela also recalled the historical events that had marked the growth of apartheid in South Africa. The Boer War and the first decade of the 20th century had witnessed the spreading of the system of racism and dominance of the blacks by the whites. However, in the last decade of the century, all this had been overturned and the South Africans enjoyed equal rights and freedom irrespective of the color of their skin. Mandela also recognized the sacrifices made by thousands of people before him who had suffered hardships. They were patriots. He felt sorry that they could not witness the fruits borne due to the hardships undergone by them. Mandela particularly criticized the policy of apartheid, which had left a deep and lasting wound on his country and its people. He admitted that it would take ages to recover from this, but also observed that decades of oppression and brutalities had given birth to courageous patriots like Oliver Tambo, Walter Sisulu, Chief Luthuli, and many more. He shared that his people were his greater wealth than the minerals and gems found in his country. He further remarked that he had learned the real meaning of courage and selflessness from such patriots. He had learned that courage was not the absence of fear, but the triumph over it. Another observation that Mandela shared was the belief that hatred is not natural to men. It is acquired. If a man can learn to hate another because of the color of the skin, he can also be taught to love. Love, according to him, comes more naturally to the human heart than its positive. He recounted the day's oppression that he had undergone during his long imprisonment as a freedom fighter. He shared that even at the most critical time he saw a glimmer of humanity in one of the guards. This helped to keep alive his faith that man's goodness is a flame that can never be extinguished. Sharing another aspect of his experience regarding the obligations every individual has in life, Mandela remarked that every individual has twin obligation: personal obligation to his family and friends, and obligation to his community and country. Every man fulfills both these obligation according to his circumstances and abilities. But tragically in his country, if any black colored man like him tried to fulfill these obligations, he was punished and isolated. Discharging duties to one's country, its people and community was considered a crime by the authorities, and such a person was served away from his surroundings. This was what had happened to him as well. As a child, he did not understand the meaning of freedom because he enjoyed life freely under the care of his parents. He later realized that this boyhood freedom was an illusion, and after going to Johannesburg, his attention was drawn to the fact that he, as well as his fellow beings, were not free. He then began to yearn for the basic and honorable freedom which he required to achieve his potential. He observed that This freedom had been curtailed for all those who were like him. It was at this stage that he joined the African National Congress, which drew him into the struggle for a general freedom for his countrymen. His desire to see his countrymen leading a free and dignified life in a place of insubordination changed Mandela from a timid man into a bold one, and from a law-abiding attorney into a criminal. He was isolated and rendered homeless. In the end, Mandela says that he considers both the oppressor and the oppressed to be prisoners because he undergoes physical torture, and the oppressor because he is bound by hatred. He very rightly sums up by saying that the oppressed and the oppressor alike are robbed of their humanity. The theme of the chapter explores the idea of struggle, setback, renewed hopes, and ultimate triumph of truth. Its theme is summed up in the last sentence of the extract. The oppressed and the oppressor alike are robbed of their humanity. Nelson Mandela his experiences to convey the thought that freedom is an individual birthright. Oppression is condemnable when it is inflicted as well as when it is tolerated. People all over the world are equal and deserve respect irrespective of their caste, creed, or skin color. So, those who look down upon their fellow beings or mistreat them behave against the law of nature. The natural tendency of human beings is to love and not to hate. This flame of love can never be extinguished. Therefore, the chains of hatred that bind the oppressor and the chain that deprive anyone of his rights must be broken. The message of the chapter: Nelson Mandela, the legendary South African leader and the author of this extract, clearly advocate the supremacy of love. He conveys the message that love comes more naturally to living beings than hatred. Love and compassion are inborn, while hatred is acquired. Therefore, the flame of goodness and love in man can never be extinguished. The author also wants human beings to accept the need for compassion even for one's oppressor. He believes that liberation from bondage is essential for both the oppressed and the oppressor, since slavery robs them both of their humanity. Another message that the author wishes to impart is about courage. Courage does not stand for absence of fear, but it actually lies in overcoming fear. So, one must struggle fearlessly for a just cause. Courage helps ordinary people to extraordinary things. It also gives the ability of resilience that helps to fight the adversities of life. Thank you.